What's up, guys? Welcome to the video, and today I'm going to be breaking down one mindset principle from the SRM Blueprint course that contains mindset, transmutation, and purpose, basically allowing you to have the tools, to have the skills and abilities to know how to overcome porn, masturbation, to know how to transmute your sexual energy, to know how to shift your thoughts, to do everything you need to understand in order to overcome this. Because what you have to understand, guys, is with knowledge comes power, right? If you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the how to, it's very hard to do something. But as soon as you have the knowledge, as soon as you have an understanding, it's much easier to overcome something. So in this video, guys, take a minute to eliminate some distractions, just allow yourself to focus, take some notes. But honestly, the principle we're going to break down today is actually very simple once you understand it. And this will definitely transform your life. So with this video, guys, this is how to identify and prevent lust, okay? What do I mean by that? I mean, when you have those thoughts either come in to your mind or come up, right? Or let's just say you are on your phone, right? And you see a picture of a girl. All of a sudden you have a thought come in, and then that leads to a relapse, right? On Nofap and semen retention. These thoughts, you don't just go from 0 to 100, right? You don't suddenly have an urge and all of a sudden you need to go and relapse, right? There's always a gradual process, okay? And that's something you'll notice, right? There's always a process. Depending on how fast is really up to you. How fast it unfolds and how fast you end up going to the bad habit, that's completely your choice. But there's always this gradual process, and it always starts with a very small thing, right? And the way I can illustrate this is something I use with my clients called the fire starter analogy, right? So you have to view your mind like a fire, right? So kind of like if you ever watch like Bear Grylls or any survival shows, or you ever made a fire yourself, you know that you can take the flint and steel, which is here, and you can send those sparks onto a set of kindling, and eventually one of those sparks is going to land and it's going to create an ember. And your mind works in a very, very similar way, right? Your mind is just like that kindling. Every time a thought is coming in, every time you see something, or even if something comes up within yourself, that is literally like sparks flying onto that kindling, right? Your mind is receiving that. And sometimes what happens is that an ember forms. Okay, now with an ember, if you've ever made a fire, I don't know if you guys have, I know I have growing up. Like if you blow on it, you give it attention, you send air towards it, and it has the right kind of environment, it will catch into a flame. Okay, and like this is exactly the same way your mind works. What's going to happen is that a thought is going to come into your head, and if you give it attention, right, you feed it, you allow it in, you're essentially doing the same thing. You're giving that ember air, you're nurturing it, and all of a sudden it's going to turn into a flame. And now what was just a tiny little ember that you could put out just like that has now become a flame, which is slightly more difficult to put out. And then it continues, right? Your mind goes, oh, well, I'm only thinking a little bit. I'm only delving into this sexual fantasy a little bit. It's no big deal, right? But that continues to grow. The more you entertain it, the more you allow it into your mind. Now you're just putting more pieces of wood onto that fire. And it could even go as far as you then pull up the adult content, right? You pull up these adult videos, and all of a sudden you're essentially putting logs onto that fire. So what was originally just a tiny little ember that could easily have been put out has now become a big burning fire, which is very, very hard to put out. And this is why most guys constantly fall into relapse, because they underestimate this process. They don't recognize that their mind is the tool that is going to lead them either to success or failure. So the trick is, guys, just like what I've illustrated here, is that in an example of a thought coming into your mind, right? You have to cut that thought off before it even has a chance to manifest, right? You have to put that ember out before it even has a chance to turn into a flame and turn into a fire, right? If you don't do that and you let the fire grow, it's going to get out of hand, And what was, like I said, what was something very easy to put out now becomes very difficult to put out. And usually this is why most guys relapse. Now, if you do create a fire, there is only one way you can really put it out. And that one way is to stop feeding it, right? To stop giving it fuel. So you have to cut your attention, you have to cut your awareness off from these thoughts, and they will slowly diminish. Yes, you're going to get poked and you're going to get prodded by yourself, but you need to shift your awareness, you need to shift your thoughts away from those sexual thoughts that are coming up, right? And a great way you can do that is just through taking action, right? If you sit and you dwell, you're more likely to slip back into that habit. But if you can find some sort of action to take, exercise is always the best way, right? When you have that build up of sexual energy, the best thing you can do is some form of exercise, some form of physical exertion, because that's going to balance out that sexual energy throughout your body. Now, there's other techniques that I'm not going to go into in this video, but that is ultimately the trick. And once you can understand this principle, it's going to completely change and revolutionize your journey with Nofap and semen retention. You know, you're going to be much more capable and equipped, even though it's a very, very simple thing I've just broken down for you. But once you understand this concept, you can recognize that, okay, when a thought comes in, if I can cut it off before it has a chance to get to even manifest, then I'm putting myself in a power position. Because the problem is, most guys, and you know you've done this, is what will happen is a thought will come in and you go, oh, I can entertain this, like because you're not relapsing, but you have to realize that you essentially are starting the process of relapse, and you're making each second and each minute you're giving attention to that thing in your mind, you are getting one step closer to relapsing. And the more attention you give it, the harder it is to get out of it. So you can save yourself a lot of trouble and save yourself a lot of stress on this journey by doing that. And if you can do this effectively over a period of time, if you can do this effectively for a month or 2 months, like, I know that seems like a long time, but if you can do that, you're going to change, or you're going to build a certain level of mental discipline, and you're going to be shifting your mindset where this becomes almost like a habit where it's very easy. For me, I know if a sexual thought comes up, I have the prefrontal cortex strength to choose, make a conscious choice to cut that thought off. And that's another reason why a lot of people go wrong, is because they're very unconscious, right? The more aware you are of your surroundings, of the thoughts that are coming up, the more you're able to actually manage this, right? You're actually able to cut this off. So yeah, guys, you want to cut those thoughts off before they have a chance. Now, they're either going to come from the outside, so they're either going to just come out of nowhere, they're going to come from social media, you're going to see a girl, and all of a sudden a thought's going to come in, or they're going to just come from within. Sometimes we just have a build-up of sexual energy, or we just built up a habit of thinking about lustfully, and these thoughts are just going to come up. It's your job to cut that thought off before it has a chance to manifest. I hope this is making sense. So you want to avoid those sparks coming in, avoid those sparks coming up, right? And when you think of your head like a fire, you can understand like how much easier it would be just to put that fire out before it has a chance to grow. So with that being said, guys, that is just one principle from the SRM blueprint on mindset, on how you can actually change your mindset so you can overcome those lustful urges coming up, and you can regain that level of self-control and that self-mastery. Now, if you found that useful and you thought that this is something you can implement yourself and you think it's going to be beneficial, then what we can do is, this is something you're serious about. If you want to change your life, you want to give this bad habit up so you can actually have a true and genuine transformation to become the best version of yourself, then what I can offer you is a 15-minute clarity call where we can go into exactly what's going on in your situation personally, what you're struggling with, what problems are coming up, and we can exactly identify what is the next step you need to take, what solution do you need to implement in order to be able to give this up, and gain that level of self-control and self-discipline, so you can really find your highest purpose in life and you can become your best self. So if you're interested in that free 15-minute call, there's a link below where you can book that in. But if not, let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.